Hi everyone, Kelvin Hoy here, the Cinephile. Thank you so much for clicking. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So today I will be speaking about Wonder Woman 1984. It just came out a few days ago. And by the time you see this video, it will be 2021. So Happy New Year. Thank you so much for clicking. I really appreciate it. So let's get started. This is a spoilers review. I'm sure whoever's clicking this has already seen the film. So I don't really have to warn you, but it is a spoilers review. So, the film is set in 1984, obviously, and Wonder Woman is still helping people, but secretly. And we have new characters like Barbara Minerva, who becomes the Cheetah, who is one of my favorite villains in the DC universe, and Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal. So, basically, she's in this time period, and for me personally, I thought it was a mistake from the very beginning to set her in this time period. I know what they're going for, this sort of bright and happy era, I suppose, or more colorful era than now. And I just thought that was not as interesting. I wish they brought her to 2020, to be honest, or 2019, when this film was supposed to come out, before COVID and before, so many delays. But anyways, so she's saving people and she meets Barbara and they work at the same museum, or I believe they worked at the Smithsonian. And there's this stone. So this stone, it's a magical stone. We find out later it's created by the Duke of Deception, and it can grant wishes. But they use the example of the monkey's paw, which is actually I thought was sort of cool. And so if you wish for something, you get it, but then you have to give something up. And if you've ever read The Monkey's Paw, which I have, it's not worth it, right? So let's start off with the positives, mixed, and then negative, and then overall thoughts about Wonder Woman 1984. Pardon me. So the positives, I thought the opening scene was very cool. I enjoyed watching that. I think if you want to be colorful, it has to make sense. So I like the colors in that scene, like where they had the contest and the contestants had their own color. I thought that was really cool, and it was like gas or smoke or whatever it was, colored smoke. I don't know how the Amazons figured that out. The Amazons were very cool, obviously very powerful, athletic, if a little bit over the top. I don't know how they can run up walls. But also, I like that Wonder Woman was saving people, albeit secretly. And, from the very beginning, we'll get to that, the mixed and the negatives. I'll save it. But even from the very beginning of this film, there's just some things that don't really work that well or don't add up. But I still sort of like them, if that makes sense. So I like the conceits. I like the opening scene, even though it's her as a kid, and it really doesn't have that much to do with the overall story. A little bit, right? The connection's not that great. And I like that she was saving people. I thought the mall scene was the beginning of some interesting feelings towards this film. And I really did like, maybe not so much at the end because it got a little bit silly, but I liked Pedro's performance. I thought Kristen Wiig was okay. I wish they got someone else. I mean, just someone, I don't know, not even prettier. It's not about that. Just someone maybe a little bit more. If you covered her, she wouldn't look that strong, but then, she would have a transformation, like someone who really worked out, and she'd have like a reveal scene or something like that. Didn't seem like Kristen Wiig worked out at all for this, but that's okay. So they find this stone, and it's just, I mean, I thought it was really interesting at first, and then it sort of got less interesting because it's sort of really bizarre choices that they made, and that includes like the good and the bad. Like this film is just such a mix because like I thought bringing Chris Pine back was sort of a mistake from the very beginning, like before I watched the film. But then it was great to see him because I like Chris Pine and he's a good actor and he looks good and whatnot. I thought, oh, okay, this could be really emotional, right? Because there's no way he's surviving this film. Like he's gone by the end of this film. Like it doesn't make sense. Like that would have been really awful if he was like, you know, oh, he survived. He's just, you know, living off somewhere. Like, oh my gosh. I just thought of that. Okay, maybe this one's not that bad. But so getting into the mixed things, like that's what I'm speaking about. So Chris Pine comes back, but he comes back in another person's body, which is such a bizarre decision. I don't know why they did that. Like, oh, it's the 80s maybe? Like, I think from what I've read so far and what I've heard, oh, it's, you know, they're trying to make fun of the 80s. Like, oh, the body swap comedies back then. But it was just so, I don't know, so strange. And then it's insinuated that they kiss, first of all, so there's no consent there with the poor guy. And then it's insinuated that they, you know, spend the night together. It's not, in today's era, 2020, soon to be 2021, when you see this video, it's not good. It's just not a good choice. Like, it's just, I know it's a woman and it's a man and she's a beautiful woman or whatever, but it's strange. I don't know. I mean, there's so many little things in this film that are strange or bizarre and just like little nitpicks that add up together that just make me not like the film as much. So I would say like the first 10 to 15 minutes, it's pretty good, pretty entertaining. And even the mall scene was okay, like a little bit cheesy, but it was okay. It's still entertaining, and at least you see Wonder Woman. Because I think the pacing of the film is also off. Like it's maybe, you know, even, and I love Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, but even that it's a long film, right? That's 3 hours, so there's like almost an hour without any action before the Batmobile chase, and I think we counted because it's on streaming, so, you know, my lovely wife bought the film for us, and so I could just pause, and after I watched it the first time, you know, going back to it and just seeing like the timestamps, which is interesting as a viewer, and it was like, I think it was an hour or just over an hour from when you see Wonder Woman in the mall scene to when she's in Egypt or wherever she is, in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, you know, with the trucks, which was a cool scene. I thought that was cool. And so I think the action sequences are good, they're cool, but they're not great, if that makes sense. They're not, like, nothing touches the first Wonder Woman film, which was made 3 years ago, right? Which came out 3 years ago, so that's sort of disappointing. But they're cool. I mean, I liked seeing Cheetah, but I wish it was a little bit better. So let's get into the mixed. I'm already in there because the whole film is mixed. But I thought Gal Gadot was good as well. Before I get there, I thought Gal Gadot was good. I thought her acting has improved. Chris Pine's good. Like, all the actors try. Pedro Pascal was good. Like, his first, I'd say, several scenes are pretty funny and pretty entertaining, and then maybe towards the end not so great, but not because of him, just because of the writing. And then I think it's shot relatively well, if that makes sense. Like Patty Jenkins is a good director. Like, she knows what she's doing. Like, she knows how to use a camera. You know, I mean, so does Snyder, so does Nolan, right? Like, it's not like they don't know what a camera is, right? Or anything like that. Like, they do, but it's just sometimes their choices, or sometimes you get into your own head a little bit, I think, as a director. And also, I will say, you know, as we go into this mixed area here, I think, you know, a lot of people say, oh no, the artist should have 100% control or carte blanche, right? And I always use this example, another YouTuber used it, so I'm stealing it, which is, if you're building a house, or if you built the house and you hired an interior designer, so imagine the director is the interior designer. you would never say to the interior designer, here's my house, do whatever you want, right? Like you would, like nobody would ever say, here's Wonder Woman, do whatever you want. Or here's Superman, do whatever you want. Here's Batman, do whatever you want. You would put limits, or you would say, I don't want that, right? So for instance, if it's a Wonder Woman film, it's unspoken, but I'm sure they said, hey, this is a Wonder Woman film, we don't want a 3-hour film. We don't want it to be rated R. We don't want, you know, massive amounts of blood or sex or whatever, right? Like, those are sort of unspoken because you know it's in the superhero genre, it has to be sort of popular. But I'm just saying that because I just mean, like, even building a house, right? Like, nobody would ever say, oh, just do what you want. Like, I trust you to do what you want, right? Even the greatest architect or the greatest interior designer ever of all time, you would never say, do whatever you want, right? You would say, before you even do it, give me 3 different designs, or before you even do it, give me 5 different ideas, and I'll say yes, 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 or no, 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 right? So I just want to get that out, sorry. So, yes. So let's get into it. I think the mixed, I don't, like I said before, I don't like that it's in the past. I mean, it's okay, but I just don't like, I wish they just moved forward, right? So it's sort of stuck in the past. I've heard other people say this. It's sort of like inconsequential because we know sort of where she is in Batman v Superman, even though the continuity is not good. And Justice League, and even Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? Like Steve Trevor would not be there, or like we know Wonder Woman's not going to die, or you know, things like that, big things like that. So I think the script has a lot of problems. I think it's both somehow too long and not that well defined. I mean, it sort of is and sort of isn't, right? Like, it's very simple. Like, Pedro Pascal wants to be successful, and he doesn't want to be a loser, right? I mean, I think we can all relate to that. Barbara wants to be beautiful and confident and strong, and we can all relate to that too. But it's very surface level. And then I think the way they do it, and then the ending is just like by the end, the film just gets worse and worse, sort of, in a way, because you have this fight scene with Cheetah and Wonder Woman, and it's very short. Like, I thought it was okay, you know, I thought it was fine. You know, not the best, because it's so short. It's like, I don't know if it's 2 minutes, maybe not, maybe 90 seconds, or maybe it's 2 minutes. But, it's really short. Her design is okay. I wish she looked more like the comic Cheetah. I don't know why she's like, has white fur. And then, but, like, she's fine. Like, she gets electrocuted, and then she's fine. Like, she doesn't die. Which I'm like, I know some people don't like the villains dying, but I don't know, I sort of do. Like, it means more, right? It's like, oh, they died. Like, they're in that film. Like, they're just in that film. That's why they're so special. It's sort of like spoilers for 20 years ago. I just recently rewatched Spider-Man, right? Like, oh, Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. It's so good. And, you know, he kept doing that. I mean, Raimi kept doing that. He kept killing off the villains. But it means more. It's like, oh, there are consequences. Like, something actually happened. Like, here, Barbara's fine. She turns back to herself. And the film, like, it just ends, sort of, right? Like, there are no consequences. Like, she doesn't go to prison. She doesn't, I don't think so. And, like, she just sort of ends and looks upset. And then Pedro Pascal reunites with his son, and there are no consequences. Like, nothing happens. Like, does he go to prison? We don't know. Like, nothing. Like, not even a newspaper article at the end. Like, I know that might be cheesy, but, like, Wonder Woman reading a newspaper and then say, Pedro Pascal in prison. Right? Not Pedro, sorry. Maxwell Lord in prison, right? Like, there's nothing. It just ends. And he's like, oh, I'm going to be a better father now. Like, it's so, I don't know. Like, the storytelling is so 80s and 90s. Like, that's not good because it's made, like, in the late 2010s, right? I don't know. And I wish, this is, let's just go to negatives. I really wish, that was already negative. But yeah, I wish the ending was better. I wish Chris Pine just appeared, right? Just appeared in his own body and he's just maybe in a uniform. That would have been sad, right? And sweet. And then he was like, oh, I just appeared, outside the door and I was drawn to you or something, right? Whatever, it's magic. Like, just make it up. and, um, and, sorry, just seeing the time. And, I don't know. I think it was really, the script could have been better. And Patty Jenkins has a co-writing credit on this with Jeff Johns and another person I can't remember. But those two are, like, Jeff Johns is a famous comic books writer. Whew, and Patty Jenkins wrote or co-wrote Monster, her first film, I believe, in 2003. So, I mean, that's not good, right? Like, these are two people who can write. And they did a really poor job, I think, with the script. For whatever reason, I don't know. There's no answer. Like, I don't know why the body swap. The only thing I can think of is they thought it would be funny, or they thought it would be payback as women for all the, body swap comedies for men. A really bad decision. Yeah. And I think the ending, I don't think Barbara ever renounced her wish, so how does that work? But I guess I think Maxwell Lord renounced his wish, so then all of the other wishes go away. Okay, that's fine. So, yeah. So really, I think this film, starting from the mall scene, starts to get a little bit silly, and it went back and forth for me. So it went from good to bad, and then back from bad to good, and then, certain scenes I liked, and like, I liked the fireworks scene. I thought that was cool and beautiful, and I liked her lassoing the clouds, and even though that doesn't make any sense, lassoing lightning, that was cool. I don't think she should have flown. I think that was a step too far, because she can sort of fly, but not really, in Batman v Superman and Justice League, and it just doesn't make sense. Like, I think you just have to be aware of that. I know Jenkins just wants her trilogy, and she doesn't care about the other films, which is fine. But I think that's the problem with Warner Brothers and giving a director just full power. Because I know they, from what she said, they said, hey, cut the opening scene. WB said, cut the opening scene or cut the mall scene. Like, it's too long. This film is too long. And then Jenkins said, no, right? We're not cutting either one. And then they kept it in because they don't want to get into a fight. But really, they should have cut the mall scene, I think. Yeah, doesn't matter. Because you can see her saving people for a few seconds, and then we'll have the scene where she finally shows up in the Middle East. But yeah, I think there were a lot of little things. I don't know why she doesn't have a shield. I think it would have come in handy at certain points in this film. Yeah, and I get the sword. Like, the sword's violent. Like, why would you, for a petty crime, right? Like, you don't need a sword. But the shield, like, that's just common sense, right? It's like Captain America. Like, why does he have a shield? Because you can block bullets and you can block, punches and whatnot. So yeah. So overall, this film is really, really mixed. I think it's more competent and it's more of a director's vision than Suicide Squad. I know that was a little bit cut up, but even the things that we had in there, because it was Ayer's vision. Like, I know it's sliced up, but it's still like what he wrote. It's still his lines. It's still his scenes. It's just a trailer company came in and sliced it up. So that's why the editing's a bit odd. So just to finish my point about Suicide Squad, so that film was sliced up by a trailer company, but it was still Ayer's material, which was so bad, so awful. Like, that film as well, like, after the first 5 or 10 minutes, it's like, oh god. The longer it went, the worse it became, and it was also long. It was still somehow over 2 hours, even though I sliced it up. So I still think the Suicide Squad, pardon me, is still the worst DCEU film. I think this one ranks a little bit above that. I'll do my full ranking one day, but yeah, so I think WW84 is still above Suicide Squad. But yeah, it is, I just think a little bit, there's just so many little things, like, you know, I just think there's so many little things that just make me not like the film as much. Like, even things like, you know, like how would Steve Trevor not know what fireworks are, right? It's like, like he should know, you know? It's like 1918, right? The First World War, or 1917, whatever. And, like, I'm pretty sure there were fireworks, like, the Chinese invented fireworks, you know, like 500 years ago. I'm sure Americans were like, oh yeah, fireworks, I've heard of those. Or I've seen those, right? Like, they were more special back then, I'm sure. But yeah, so many little things. I think the actors really tried. So overall, it's a really mixed film for me. I think it's, using good old Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's Rotten for me. I think I'd give it like 5 out of 10. Maybe even 4.5. I just think there's so many little things that don't make sense. And again, I think like there are no consequences for the end of the film, which I really don't like. Yeah, and yeah, the body swap was bizarre. So many little things, like how would Chris Pine not know about fireworks? That's bizarre. Yes, so I will have to give this film, using 5 stars, I will give this film 2.5 stars out of 5. Yes, because I think 2 stars is a little bit harsh, but yeah. Like I said, the beginning was good, and they try to tie it in with cheating, and she's trying to cheat the system, trying to cheat death, right? He's already, you know, Steve Trevor already died, and she brought him back. I get it, it's okay. I think the actors all did a good job, they tried. I think Jenkins has to get out of that colorful and hopeful place. I think, okay, you said it, you've done it, for, you know, WW84, so the next one, the third one, and she may or may not be back, maybe she'll just be a producer, we'll see, the reception, but I think you just have to move on and bring her into 2025 or 2024, whenever this film comes out, right? The next one. Oh my gosh, so far away. And that's the thing too, she's busy as well. You know, she signed up for, you know, Jenkins signed up for Star Wars, which is awesome for her, and she signed up for Cleopatra, and like, if it's Patty Jenkins directing, we're not going to get Wonder Woman 3 until 2024, like Christmas, like 4 years from now at the earliest. So I don't know if they should wait that long. I don't think so. Like, WB, and I have to say this, I'm sorry, this is a very negative video, so I apologize, but Warner Brothers is so slow. They're so slow with everything. Like, the Snyder Cut, they should have announced that. They should have had it done. They should have announced that in January 2018, right? Not January 2019, after Aquaman. After Aquaman was a huge hit, they should have just said, you know what, whatever, we'll release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max, and had it ready instead of now. I mean, maybe the quality is a little bit better now, so maybe it worked out, but they're just so slow in decision making. Aquaman's coming out in 2022, I believe. They haven't started shooting that. It's 2021 tomorrow. They haven't started shooting Shazam. They're shooting the Batman. I think it's almost done. They haven't started shooting the Flash. That's all. So they haven't started shooting Black Adam. So they have 4 films in the DCEU. Aquaman, Shazam, Black Adam. What's the other one? The Flash, sorry. 4 DC films shooting in the next year. They'll all come out in 2022 or 2023. I think Shazam's coming out in 2023. Like, they're so slow. Like, those kids are adults. They're like over 18. I think they're like 19 or 20 now. So why would they, like why would the kid playing Billy Batson turn into Zachary Levi? Like, why? right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I know that's magic or whatever, but yeah, like, they're not even kids anymore. Like, it's not even fun for the audience because, yeah, like, maybe like 12 or 13-year-olds, but they're too old now. They're like 18, 19, 20. I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, anyway, sorry. That's all my complaining. So yes, Wonder Woman 1984, 2.5 out of 5 stars. What did you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment. I love reading your comments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to hear what people are thinking. And that's why, that's why I did this. It's like, could I do it? And it's fun to interact with strangers, in different places, different countries. It's really cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. There are some moments, Wonder Woman 1984 has its moments, but I think it's really messy. It's really mixed for me, and I wish it was better, but I was afraid. Like, Wonder Woman was so good. I would give Wonder Woman a 9.1 out of 10. So, I mean, it's very good. And I was just afraid from the very beginning, from like 2 years ago, or even 3 years ago. Like, they can't top this, right? Like, the window of opportunity to top the original is so small, and they didn't. So that's okay. It happens. It's a movie. That's life. So I'm looking forward to the future. I hope WB figures it out and just is a little bit more organized, is a little bit more cohesive, and a little bit faster. So some of you might know this. They just said they're going to release 6 films. 6 DC films. They might not be canon. One might be a one-off, like the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix. But they're going to release 6 DC films starting in 2022, which is next year, which is 366 days away. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. See you next time. Bye.